Gavin Robertson is sacked once again. The Bishop of Liverpool resigns under a cloud. And the Bishop of Leicester is confident of the LLF process happening. This is Rev Dan's Roundup. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Rev Dan. I'm a vicar in the Church of England. On this channel, you'll get all my views as a parish priest on all the Christian news happening in the world today. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below, share it, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Also, head over to my Substack where you can support me over there and find some extra content. So 3 stories only this week. I hadn't managed to record a video. It's been quite hectic in parish life this week, which has been fantastic, which has been really good. You know, just doing what we are doing on the ground at the local church level. So even though these stories were there, sometimes it's frustrating when you see such big stories and you just know something's got to give, and parish ministry will always come first. So this video is being released a day late, but at least you will get this video and my thoughts on those stories that have come out this week. So not a full Rev Dan's Roundup with all the extra stories. Might try to pick up next week some of those smaller stories out there to make sure we get a full roundup on all the news that is happening. But these, well, it was going to be 2, but as I was just checking through the news, I saw the LLF one come up. And because that's going to General Synod this month, now we are in February, I thought I'll just cover that quite shortly right at the end. But there are 2 big news stories of Gavin Robertson and the Bishop of Liverpool. It's quite huge, so there's enough content just to put a video out about those. But a week ago, last Saturday, a group of people came down to see me in my parish, spent a day with me. It was fantastic to meet some of you from outside of my parish. I'm travelling quite far, actually. A great day. Showed what I do in my parish, who I am as a parish priest. Many of you see me just here, and this is it. But actually, I'm a parish priest, and so we went around the parish shed, some lunch together, give a little talk about how I became a Christian and a vicar, and how this channel grew beyond my expectations. And the weather stayed good, and it was really great. It's really great to meet people, because obviously I speak into the camera, and it's very cool when they came into my office and they saw the studio, and well, it's an office, but it's a studio at the moment because I'm recording. So that was good fun. Might do something like that in the future. We'll see if I do. I'll let you know. But it was a really good day, a really encouraging day. So the news starts off with a huge, and this was huge actually, Gavin Robertson. I was tossing up, do I go Bishop of Liverpool because it's Church of England, I am Church of England, or Gavin Robertson? And I decided to go with the Gavin Robertson story first, just because when when it broke, I was actually, that day, I was I was doing home communions, going around. I was out most of the day, and then I'd go pick up my daughter from my school club. She was doing football, and then I got back, and then I saw this breaking. I think it had been out a few hours already, and by that time on X or Twitter, if I still keep calling it, on the right hand side where you get the news, if you're on there, you get a news panel with some of the stories and the comments of people. And I think that was one of the stories, but you know, kind of that shocked me. But it was, I think, 232,000 comments. This was such a huge story. And so I thought, you know, that probably qualifies it to go first. But the Bishop of Liverpool story is huge as well. So there are timestamps below this video, so you can go and jump to that video, that part of the video, if you want to see that. If not, stay with Calvin. Best of all, stay throughout the video. So Gavin Robertson, yeah, he has lost his license. He hasn't been defrocked as a priest, as many people are saying online now. He's still a priest, but he has lost his license with the Anglican Catholic Church in the States for making a certain gesture. Or is it deeper than that? Is there more going on? And there's quite a bit to get into this story. So I'm using Premier Christian News for this one. Calvin Robinson loses his license after mimicking Elon Musk salute. So it's good on them saying Elon Musk salute, because this is where this all really pins round. He's making the gesture that Elon Musk made after the one of the Donald Trump's inauguration events, where he was saying, "My heart goes out to you," and then he raised his hand.
And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you. It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured.
Would I do that on here? I should do, but I'm not even going to risk it, because it's what people are interpreting. But I think this is the nub of what needs to be looked at, is what did Elon Musk do? But we'll get into that in a minute. It says political commentator and priest Calvin Robinson has lost his Anglican Catholic license after making a gesture interpreted by some to be a Nazi salute. And this is what I mean. Some are interpreting what Elon Musk did as a Nazi salute, and others are not. And they're saying it's not at all. And so what is the interpretation of what he did? Robinson was speaking at the National Pro-Life Summit in Washington, D.C., when he mimicked a controversial gesture made by Elon Musk following Donald Trump's inauguration. So just if you do not see it as a Nazi salute, then it's not controversial. If you see it as a Nazi salute, then you would say it is controversial. If you see it as Elon Musk saying, "My heart goes out to you," and showing appreciation for the people that were there, and he put his hand in his chest and then raised his arm, then you just see it for what it is. It can't be controversial. So just picking up on that word, we don't need to use that. Maybe just mimic the gesture, because people reading this will not see it as controversial at all. It says it's make or break for Christendom, Robinson said, before telling the crowd that he believed America to be the only nation fighting for life. He then raised his right arm with a flat hand and echoed Musk's words, "My heart goes out to you," which you can see on the video here.
God bless.
Laughter and applause ensued, with Robinson smiling before exiting the stage. Well, you watch the video, the context is he did it. People responded, they laughed, they applauded, and because they laughed and applauded, he smiled. It was his reaction to that. But the Anglican Catholic Church now took on this, and Anglican Inc. have got their statement, and it's actually one of the biggest articles. I listened to their channel last night while I was in bed, and they said this is one of the biggest stories they've had. It's got 78,260 views, and it's only the statement of what the Anglican Catholic Church has put out. And they have this headline: Calvin Robinson's license revoked by the Anglican Catholic Church over political actions. So we're going to get into this statement, which is quite interesting, and pull a few things out here. It said approximately 3 p.m. today, which is the 29th of January, members of the College of Bishops of the ACC were made aware of a post made on X showing the end of a speech made by Calvin Robinson at the National Pro-Life Summit in Washington, D.C. So but they made aware of it individually, or did they have a Zoom, or were they already meeting up? That was just made aware. Some of this feels quite woolly, and this is why we have to question. I think the statement could be more robust and give more confidence if they really wanted to prove why they're revoking his license. But it says in it, he closed his comments with a gesture that many have interpreted as a pro-Nazi salute. Again, going back before, and many haven't interpreted it as that. So it's really what your interpretation is here, and really understanding not what Calvin Robinson did, but Elon Musk. That's where it started. And they say, well, we cannot say what was in Mr. Robinson's heart when he did this. You're putting out a statement saying you're revoking the license of one of your priests, and you're saying we cannot say what was in his heart when he did this. Well, if you're deciding to revoke someone's license, surely there's got to be a process to be followed. So apart from you being made aware by as a College of Bishops of a video that was online, and you're not sure what was in his heart, surely there's, even if you wanted to take it to an investigation, whether formally or informally, that's what you do, and ask the person face to face what's going on, what's the motive behind this, why were you doing this, and start an investigation, like I said, informally or formally. Not say we're revoking your license and saying we just don't know what was in his heart, we don't know what his thought process were there and then. But they say, well, we cannot say what's in Mr. Robinson's heart when he did this. His action appears to have been an attempt to curry favour with certain elements of the American political right by provoking its opposition. So his action appears, as again, it's subjective, not objective here. So you're revoking a license subjectively, not objectively, and this is it's not going to look good for the Anglican Catholic Church, because there should be processes in place. I couldn't imagine how other priests in the Anglican Catholic Church would feel now about certain processes. There's my little alarm telling me to pray, reminding me to pray, if you heard that. And I'll catch up after, don't worry. And so it's a subjective thing, and you want robust procedures in place. Now, if they have gone through all these robust procedures and found Calvin Robinson guilty of something or going against something they said, then they could prove that, and people online would go, well, I really support Calvin, but he messed up on this one. But that's not here. It's just not there. It's assuming and watching videos and not speaking to a person and appearing and but they're assuming as well in this. They're saying that it appears to them, without asking, it appears to them it's trying to curry favour with certain elements of the American political right by provoking its opposition. And that could be true, but have you asked him? Have you sat down with him? It's not. You haven't sat down with him, because we know that. And does he need to curry favour with the American political right and gain more? He's been, with Trump at his rallies. He's been with Elon Musk. I think he's quite well embedded in the American political right. And I don't think he needs to get known. I don't think he needs to do anything controversial or anything to up his profile. His profile's been quite huge since he's been in the States. They say Mr. Robinson had been warned that online trolling and other such actions, whether in service of the left or the right, are incompatible with the priestly vocation, and was told to desist. Which, yes, you would expect. Calvin's going over there to be a parish priest, and you will expect parish priests, as we all are, as I am, limited by what I would say, because I have a parochial ministry. And so, I could take that statement that because they knew who they were getting, weren't they? When Calvin went over to the States, and it wasn't just a quick phone call and a jump on a plane. It was a discernment process between them and the church and himself, and finding the right fit and going to the right place. But they knew who Calvin was, and they knew that he's not afraid to speak out on many things. And that man is so robust. He's hugely robust, and he's not scared of saying things. He will say them, and he doesn't not believe them as well. He's not just going to make things up. And they knew what he was. They were getting. And was there an element that they thought they could control him and say, you can't carry on doing this? By what I seen, his local church were really happy with him and had no problem with his online presence and his not even online anymore. He's on TV, he's going to conferences and all these things, and that wasn't a problem. If anything, I thought the one thing that could get him in trouble, because it pops up on your feed on social media, was that how much time do you spend in the parish? And I thought, that if there's one thing, it would be that, but obviously not. It was this. So they were telling him to calm down, not to be who he was, and they were incompatible with the priestly ministry vocation and told to desist. So, and I think there's something, an understanding there of what his parish thought and his parish church. But they say clearly he has not, and as such his license in this church has been revoked. He is no longer serving as a priest in the ACC. So the other thing is if Gavin is speaking biblical truth here, then where do you draw the line of he's speaking biblical truth over trolling and those again? There could be such a subjectivity in that as well. But that's not for me to decide, that's for them, which so many people are calling for the ACC to explain themselves, to really set this out, because this doesn't feel like a strong statement to me in what was said and done. So because they say clearly not, they told him not to do this, and clearly he has not, and as such his license in this church has been revoked. He is no longer a serving priest of the ACC. But they did this over social media. They didn't investigate him, they didn't write to him, they didn't phone him, they didn't sit down with him, they didn't do any of that. They just, it seems, they didn't say that an actual decision was made by the College of Bishops or by the Archbishop, or they just said that members of the College of Bishops being made aware, and then go through what happened and what was said to him, and then because he hasn't stopped trolling, I guess that's the thing is, because was it the actual my heart goes out to you with the arm raised, the thing that he got his license revoked for, or was that the straw that broke the camel's back for them? But then it goes back to, what was that gesture that Elon Musk did? Do you believe it was a Nazi salute or not? And that really is the crux of this, because if you don't believe it's a Nazi salute, then what he was doing, it was trolling, and that could be for them for the straw that broke the camel's back. And you say, look, we told you not to troll. We told you not to say this. We warned you and warned you and warned you. Here's all the evidence, and then you went and did it again. So, and if you got that, then an investigation ensues. You sit down. He has his counsel with him, and then a decision is made at the end. But that hasn't been done, and he's no longer serving as a priest in the ACC. Now, there is another thing in this. I can only speak from my context in the Church of England, but I'm sure it's not too dissimilar. He was a priest in charge and not an incumbent, like a vicar or a rector. He's not incumbent, where you would have more rights as an incumbent than you have a priest in charge. And I remember many years ago someone telling me, was it just before, actually was on the retreat before getting ordained and going on to our curacy, someone said to me, don't ever become a priest in charge, because they can get you out really easily if they don't want you. And I was like, oof, that's a warning. Always be careful of priest in charge. I was priest in charge for a couple of years, but now I'm an incumbent. And I have heard it's not so easy to get people out as priest in charge, but it's a lot easier to get people out than incumbent. Now, this is the States, and they do have different rules over there. So if Gavin was an incumbent, like the vicar or rector of that parish, I don't think it would have been as easy to just revoke his license. Because he's a priest in charge, they have. But I still think massively process should have been followed. Absolutely. But then here comes to the crux. So what I said before, if they told him, look, we know, we're aware of your ministry, Calvin, we're aware that the way you speak, we don't fully agree with it, and we'd like you to calm that down, because you are a parish priest. And you have to recognise that the parish priest is for everybody, and you just have to watch what you say, because we want you to reach those who would fundamentally disagree with you as well. And that's what we're calling to you to Grand Rapids. And so we feel that for you to do that better, just calm down on what you say. Don't be so controversial, because we want you to reach the gospel to those, because we don't want them to just not engage with you at all. Say they said that, and then he doesn't do that, and he keeps carrying on just being outspoken as he is, and saying what's on his heart, and they're saying, look, this isn't right. And then he does this gesture, which they turn around and say, look, we it's not a Nazi salute, but you're winding it up. People, which he said and admitted that he was, and this is why. that would make more sense to me, right? That would make so much more sense. But they go into this paragraph. Furthermore, we understand that this is not just an administrative matter. The Holocaust was an episode of unspeakable horror enacted by a regime of evil men. We condemn Nazi ideology and anti-Semitism in all its forms, and we believe that those who mimic the Nazi salute, even as a joke or an attempt to troll their opponents, trivialise the horror of the Holocaust and diminish the sacrifice of those who fought against its perpetrators. Such actions are harmful, divisive, and contrary to the tenets of Christian charity. And I agree with that. I agree with that statement, but not in this context. Against Calvin, what they're saying against Calvin, because what they are saying in the statement here, in this part of the statement, in this paragraph, it says, we believe that those who mimic the Nazi salute, even as a joke or an attempt to troll their opponents, trivialise the horror. So what they're saying is they believe what Calvin did in copying Elon Musk's "My heart will go out to you" was a Nazi salute. So what they're saying is Elon Musk deliberately did a Nazi salute. I don't even know if Elon Musk planned that in his speech. It looked in the emotion of it all that he did a speech and was just saying, my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you, to people in front of him and to people behind him. But I don't think it was planned. It could have been planned, but I think it was a spur of the moment thing, but it was not in the context of a Nazi salute. There was no Heil Hitler or any of those things. It was, the context is really key here, and I don't think that what Elon Musk did was a Nazi salute. And in fact, if you go online, you can see many photos of politicians from the Democrat Party with their hands up in the air like a Nazi salute. Photos. Now, I don't believe that they're doing Nazi salutes either. I think that context is really important, and understanding was there Heil Hitler or Sieg Heil or anything like that Elon Musk was doing? No, he said my heart goes out to you. And so those who want to believe what they want to believe will believe that it is, because the trouble is, in America, politics is so divided and divisive at the moment, and they're just looking to attack each other all the time. But the problem with this is that they are saying they believe it is a Nazi salute. Not what Calvin Robinson did, what Elon Musk did, because Calvin Robinson only copied what Elon Musk did as like a joke, and it was provocative as well. That's what he was doing. So they're saying it is a Nazi salute here, where this is where now it's on, really dubious ground, because as I said before, if they told him, your parish priest, calm it down, we want you to reach the gospel to all the people and stop trolling, and then he did that as a troll to wind up the left of politics in the States, then I could see where they're going, but they would have to follow it up in an investigation and with evidence and stuff like that, and then if he lost his license and they produced all that, you go, yeah, Calvin's got this wrong. Yeah, he's got to understand that he's a parish priest as well, and they've asked him, and But what they're saying is that he did a Nazi salute, and what they're saying is, Musk did a Nazi salute when it's not even clear. As they even say at the start, a gesture that many have interpreted as pro-Nazi. Well, they say many. That means if they believe many have, some haven't. So it's not clear cut here, and context is king. So, go back to Primary Christian News. They say Robinson defended his actions online, arguing that he was mocking hysterical liberals. Taken to X, the platform owned by Musk, he said the joke at the end was a mockery of the hysterical liberals who called Elon Musk a Nazi, for quite clearly showing the audience his heart was with them. Context is key, but sometimes people ignore context to confirm their own prejudices. People see what they want to see. So he's saying that's why I did it. He was making a mockery of hysterical liberals. So, as I said before, if they didn't see that as a priestly ministry, they told him to calm it down, and he did that, then there is some recourse to investigation and stuff like that. But not what they're saying. He also confirmed that his license would be revoked, saying, I learned this the same way you did via social media. And that's really bad as well. That's really bad. There's no phone call, no letter, no in-person meeting, none of this. It's done via social media. And I doubt he was the first one to see it. You put something like that out, other people are going to see it before you, and that's awful. Can you imagine finding out that you lost your job via somebody texting you or giving you a call? I don't know how he found out or he saw it himself, but that is just not the way to go about it. And there's a pastoral ministry from his bishop and archbishop as well, an absolutely pastoral ministry. They know the effect that it's going to have. He is there working in that church, in that parish. He has to have a green card to do that. Losing his license will affect his status in the States and because of his employment. And they should be more pastoral. Even if they absolutely believe what he did was wrong, they have a pastoral responsibility for him as a person, as one of their flock, as a parish priest. So to do it this way, it just doesn't ring right at all. The Anglo-Catholic Church did not accept that the gesture was a joke and highlighted its cultural symbolism. This is what I said before. They're saying, we think, we believe it's a Nazi salute. And so they really have to also understand. And that's where an investigation comes in, doesn't it? And putting points across that the basis of what they're saying is what Elon Musk did was a Nazi salute. And they would have to prove that. But because he's a priest in charge and because of the way it works, he's had his license revoked. Listening, as I said before, to Anglican Unscripted, they're saying, Calvin would be better based in a cathedral and still have his online ministry, and not just his online ministry. I think he's just outgrown that as well because he's going to all these conferences and events and doing all these other things. And, he's an Anglo-Catholic priest, or Catholic now, should I say, probably than Anglo-Catholic. I'm not quite sure where it is, but more Catholic, and definitely more Catholic than I am, priest. And so parochial ministry is hugely important to him. But he's also got this calling into being a political commentator from a Christian point of view. So where now does he sit in that? How can he find a parish? Would a parish want him? Would they find him too divisive? Even if they fully support his views, would they find, along with the bishops and archbishops, he's too hot to handle? I even know myself, I'm not even a tenth, a fifth, even 1% of as well known as Calvin Robinson. But I know that I'm limited to where I could go. There would be churches that I couldn't go because they wouldn't align with me. They wouldn't want me there straight away. There would be churches that would fully agree with me, but they say, because your online ministry and your online presence, you'd bring negativity or bring something to the church which just wouldn't be helpful. And so Calvin would face that 100 times, 1,000 times, 100,000 times more than I would, but it's still a thing. So how can he be cool to what he's called to do, and does it very well, being that political commentator from a Christian point of view, bringing God into all these things, but also a parish priest, and that's it. That's a few things, and that's what God will show him going forward, and also, he needs prayer for this and in this, because this is not. I try to be fair on here, and if I know Calvin, I've had him on the channel, and I texted him when I had come out. But if it had been the other way, and it was clear cut, and his license was revoked for absolutely good reasons, and it could be proved, then you just have to say that as well, and say, Calvin, you made a mistake, and I hope you learn from this and you grow from this. But I can't say that and it's not being biased. It's just, as I've gone through this video, I hope you see my thought process on this. It just doesn't seem strong at all. And there are people out there saying, when you do speak at these conferences for pro-life, they will come after you as well. They will come after you. And so whether it's the left of politics in the States, really going to the Anglican Catholic Church and pressurising them, whether it's the pro-abortion lobby going, I don't know. But what having his licence revoked to a very weak statement and without any process is quite concerning. And it would be quite concerning for those who are priests in the Anglican Catholic Church. Process isn't being followed, and process has to be followed. So we pray for him, and I'm sure God's going to use him greatly, as he already is, and he will find somewhere. Where that will be, we don't know. So moving on to the other big story, with the Bishop of Liverpool resigning over allegations of sexual assault and harassment, but he didn't resign over that. He said he resigned over the new scrutiny and or the negativity, and he resigned for the good of the diocese, is what he said. But picking this up in Christian Today, Bishop of Liverpool resigns following allegations of sexual assault. So it says the Bishop of Liverpool has resigned after coming under scrutiny over allegations of sexual assault and harassment. Dr. John Parambalath, who continued to deny the allegations, announced on Thursday he was stepping down days after Channel 4 News broadcast complaints by two women. Channel 4 News are doing huge investigations into the church, and they're actually picking things up that the church should be, in a sense, at the forefront and coming out with these things and speaking about these things, because it's way worse coming out in the news as Channel 4 is doing. They're bringing all these things to light, and not the church. And so many people are saying, why are you hiding all this stuff? Why are you hiding all this stuff? So one complainant is a bishop, female bishop, who said she had been sexually harassed by the Bishop of Liverpool. The Church of England said it had explored her complaint and that it had been assessed not to be a safeguarding matter, but a matter of alleged misconduct. So safeguarding will fall under certain rules, and misconduct will be another set of rules, as one or the other. But it wasn't taken forward, and the article tells us why. It was not fully investigated, however, because the bishop did not bring the complaint within the 12-month limitation required under the Church of England's Clergy Disciplinary Measure, CDM. An application for her complaint to be considered beyond the deadline was supported by the Archbishop of York, Stephen Cottrell, but refused by the Deputy President of Tribunals, a Church of England spokesman said. So the rules are, if a clergy does misconduct or alleged misconduct, you can take a CDM against them, but you have to report it within 12 months. If it's beyond those 12 months, then it has to go to the Deputy President of Tribunals, and they decide. And in most cases, unless it's really serious, it just lapse. It will just lapse, because the 12 months with the memories and things like that, if it's only small. Well, the stuff like that, I believe. But if it's a huge thing, sexual misconduct or other things, then the Deputy President, or maybe even the President of tribunals, can say, yeah, there's enough evidence here, the time doesn't matter, and we'll take it forward. And they'll look at all the evidence. So, first of all, well done for the Archbishop of York for supporting it, because that's a good thing. But I'll just say well done where it needs to be well done. But he's not going to get away with it. But because it's brought in after the 12 months, it was thrown out. So nothing was done. But this was under misconduct. So that's the first alleged complaint of sexual assault and harassment. And remember, it was the Bishop of Warrington, as the Telegraph picks up. Bishop of Warrington made sexual harassment claim against the Bishop of Liverpool. So the Right Reverend Bev Mason disclosed this and wanted to bring the complaint, and I'll get onto that in just a second. But it was against another bishop. So you kind of think, why didn't the President of Tribunals take this forward. It could have been because there wasn't much evidence, but if the Archbishop of York is supporting it, surely it should have gone through. Lots of questions, and we probably won't know the answers, but lots of questions why that was dropped. Now, the second complainant was made by a woman in the Diocese of Chelmsford who said she was sexually assaulted by Dr. Perumbalath on 3 separate occasions. So this is over a 4-year period. She alleged that at a diocesan away day in 2019, Dr. Perumbalath kissed me forcefully on my mouth, which I did not like and I did not want. I tried to move away, but he was holding my head too tightly. So you can kind of picture that in your mind, how that played out. But then, 3 years later, in 2022, it's alleged at the end of a meeting, she said, as he was letting go of hugging me, he ran his hands past the side of my breasts on both sides with a medium pressure until he reached the edge of the aurelia. You know, that's a thing. And then finally in January 2023, it's alleged, she said, Dr. Perumbalath pressed his face against my face and said, I love you, quietly in my ear, and moved his mouth to just below my ear on the pulse point of my neck. He opened his mouth, took a piece of my skin between his lips and let go. Yuck. The Church of England said the National Safeguarding Team had investigated the complaint and concluded that there were no ongoing safeguarding concerns, but a learning outcome was identified with which the bishop fully engaged. So, you know, as I said before, safeguarding has got certain specific parameters which it operates in, and then if not, it's misconduct. So there is something about safeguarding here because they've identified a learning outcome which the bishop fully engaged, but there were no ongoing safeguarding concerns. Again, there's too many unknowns in here to really fully comment. So there are ongoing safeguarding concerns, but there are learning outcomes. But also, isn't this misconduct as well? So if it's not fully safeguarding, like with the complaint by the bishop, is this misconduct as well? And why wasn't it not taken as misconduct? It says the complaint was also investigated by police, which resulted in no further action. So he voluntarily went to a police interview under caution, but there was no further action taken, probably because perhaps evidence or something like that. The National Safeguarding Team concluded that there was not sufficient evidence to bring a safeguarding-related complaint under the CDM, but it offered the woman support if she wished to do so. So there's no safeguarding complaint or not sufficient evidence, but we're going to support the woman as well. So it says that the report by Channel 4 News prompted senior clergy in the Diocese of Liverpool to write to the Archbishop of York, who was temporarily leading the Church of England after the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, stepped down over his safeguarding failures. In their letter, the Liverpool clergy said that the Perumbalath's position had become untenable and that he should step aside from all ministry in the diocese until the allegation by the female bishop is fully investigated. But, you know, the allegation by the female bishop fully investigated, well, they didn't fully investigate it because it got dismissed. So it would be reopened in that case. Dr. Perumbalath denied the allegations in a statement announcing his resignation, in which he also claimed he had been victim by trial by media. Said earlier this week I was approached by Channel 4 News to inform me that they would be broadcasting a story containing allegations of inappropriate behaviour by me against 2 different women. Since those allegations were made, I've consistently maintained that I've done nothing wrong and continue to do so. Since the claim was made in 2023, they have been investigated and considered by the experts from the National Safeguarding Team and found them unsubstantiated. The first allegation was also investigated by the police, resulting in no further action. Despite this, media reports have treated me as if guilty on all charges and treated these allegations as fact. Further, it has been erroneously reported that prior to my appointment of Bishop of Liverpool, I failed the safeguarding assessments, and he says it's categorically untrue. So he's saying he's absolutely innocent because nothing was proved guilty and or found for him to be guilty. So he's saying nothing's innocent and I got a trial by media. But he also then resigned. Make of that what you want. But the Archbishop of York said, I acknowledge the decision made by the Right Reverend Dr. John Paremalath to resign from actress ministry in the Church of England. I respect his decision and respect and thank him for his ministry. But in all this, so he resigned, and he resigning for the good of his diocese, he said, but he maintains his innocence. You know what? And that's, I don't know, these two women have made these allegations, but God knows. God knows. We all know at the end of the day we go before God and we answer for all our actions. So whether this is going to be left now or further investigated, and I think it needs to be further investigated. Even though he's resigned his position, this still needs to be fully investigated, because this is a senior bishop in the Church of England. And as the Bishop of Warrington said, no bishop is above the law, I think, or something she said that. So the Right Reverend Bev Mason wrote to her diocese disclosing that she was a second complainant, which is a big thing to do. But she's been on, what do they call it, study leave for 510 days. And it took the Channel 4 News to break the story. So she's on study leave. So she's made allegations of sexual harassment against her. She's the one on study leave while he's still in active ministry, and nothing's being broke. 510 days is a long time, and a long time for that part of the diocese to have their bishop as well. So she said, many of you will be aware of the Channel 4 investigation, which has now led to the retirement of the Bishop of Liverpool. Whilst the report did not make myself as the bishop as myself, I can now confirm to you that I am the second complainant. So, you know, just think about the weight of that. So you got a suffragan bishop complaining against a diocesan bishop. That's huge. Of sexual harassment, it's actually really, really big. And I can't understand why at some point when the investigations were going on that he didn't step back from ministry, that he continued in his ministry. And there was also the allegations from before as well. And, you know, I get there are certain rules and certain things I might not understand, but this is actually a suffragan bishop complaining about, and I assume she's a suffragan bishop, a diocesan bishop. So she said, I was advised of a complaint raised against the Bishop of Liverpool and a subsequent investigation by the National Safeguarding Team. I raised what I believe were significant concerns, which included my own disclosure. The bishop said she had spent the past year and a half in pursuit of proper and appropriate ecclesiastical judicial process. You know, compare that with Calvin Robertson. You know, and here's a bishop in the Church of England trying to get process and do it the right way, even though it's against her, and can't find it. Interesting. The letter said a bishop cannot be above the law. A bishop cannot be dealt with differently from a priest. If anything, a bishop must be held to greater scrutiny. This is a biblical imperative, and it absolutely is. You know, she spent 510 days outside of doing her role. She is trying to get a proper, appropriate ecclesiastical judicial process in place. The Archbishop of York, even though he supported it earlier, perhaps could be the one with the power to launch a full investigation. For 510 days that hadn't happened, 510 opportunities that hadn't happened. That's what a lot of people saying online. A lot of people saying 510 days is inappropriate, and for the Channel 4 News to break it. Not a Christian news channel, a secular news channel to break a story about the Church of England, and not the Church of England do anything about this is not acceptable. So this is why a full investigation, full independent investigation needs to be done into this. So in her letter she goes on, there are many questions that I have as a result of this very difficult experience. These are now being raised, and our trust will be listened to and engaged with by senior leaders from within the national church. She said she prayed that the ongoing crisis over the church handling sexual abuse allegations would prove to be the kairos decisive moment for the institution. And there are many questions in this, but unfortunately the story goes on, if you can believe it, if you can actually believe this. So in the Telegraph it says, whistleblower saw Archbishop York bully colleagues into approving sex harassment bishop. So this is when the Bishop of Liverpool vacancy was being interviewed for. They have the CNC, the committee that Crown Nominations Committee that put the name forward. They interview various people for the role and they put the name forward. Everything's done in secret. Everything's destroyed after, and they're sworn to secrecy. But one of the people on there has now come forward. So it's only a comment on what is in this article and what this person is saying, but they're now coming forward because of what they experienced being on that committee for the appointment of John Parembalath. So in the article it says, the Archbishop of York bullied committee members into hiring a bishop later accused of sexual assault despite concerns over his fitness for the role, it had been claimed. So there were questions about his fitness for the role at interview. It says the Right Reverend Stephen Cottrell, the de facto leader of the Church of England, is facing calls to step down again, because remember in December he faced calls to step down over the David Tudor, the vicar in Chelmsford when he was Bishop of Liverpool, Bishop of Chelmsford, Stephen Cottrell, who allowed him to stay on as area dean and allowed him to become honorary canon in the cathedral. And also now it's coming out that he allowed people to go to be to him for training. And there were huge concerns, safeguarding concerns concerning underage girls with David Tudor. And this happened on his watch. And there was massive calls for him to resign and a petition put up. For him to go. And I think it was 36 or 38,000. So the whistleblower has now claimed that at least one woman on the committee that hired Bishop Parembalath was bullied into changing her vote in a display that left one member deeply disturbed. So there's a written statement, see by the Telegraph, details emerged. Deliberations held at Bishop's Thorpe Palace, the Archbishop of York's residence, over 2 days in June 2022. The whistleblower said they were shocked when the Archbishop and the Bishop of Oxford, the Right Reverend Stephen Croft, urged members of the 14-strong committee to approve Dr. Parembalath after he failed to answer a question on safeguarding appropriately. So at interviews, we all get asked questions and we answer them. And if they don't answer, well, especially in my experience, if you don't answer well, they'll just mark it down. If they want more clarification, they're allowed to ask him a follow-up question. But obviously on the safeguarding thing, he didn't answer appropriately. So they got parts of this statement here from this whistleblower. It says, all members were obliged to sign a confidentiality agreement, destroying all our paperwork. I realised that destroying not only the printed paperwork, but also my handwritten notes would make it difficult to provide evidence for any action, but I felt I had no option to comply. So the CNC, voted twice, 9-5, meaning Dr. Parembalath's appointment fell short of one vote of the required 2/3. It says the whistleblowers allege that the Archbishop and Bishop Croft then used bullying tactics to try to pressure people to overturn the ballot, and that a female member later disclosed that she had laid aside her concerns over safeguarding and changed her vote. A third and final ballot secured a 10-4 result in favour. Both the Archbishop and Bishop Croft denied coercion and bullying. And then another little statement from the whistleblower. I felt I should come forward with my memories of the Liverpool CNC, which has deeply disturbed me. I believe there was an abusive process. I believe that there was bullying of the elected members. So, because everything was destroyed, it is what this one person is coming forward to say, and where they probably most likely come forward to say all of this because of the allegations coming out about the Bishop of Liverpool and it being launched by Channel 4 News, and then bringing their part of the story to add to it all. They say it was suggested that the safeguarding issue identified regarding John Rumblath was a basis to reject the candidate, but Stephen Croft urged members to keep him in the process. Stephen Croft agreed. I was shocked by this attitude to safeguarding, effectively that a candidate identified as a safeguarding risk is acceptable because Stephen Cottrell says so. Stephen Cottrell said the Archbishop Stephen Croft's behaviour appeared to me as evidence of coercion, and that another woman had appeared agitated by the process, apparently having voted against her conscience throughout. The whistleblower also said they were told to destroy all handwritten and typed notes. So all the articles are below, and you can see that. So that, we don't know what went on. It's this one person coming out, but it doesn't read well. But I came across this story on Premier Christian News of it says vicar reprimanded for walking in on parishioner in the shower, and you can read that down below as well. So it's a vicar who went to tribunal under CDM of allegations of misconduct between 2009 and 2021 when he worked at a church in Nottingham. But what was interesting as I read through this article, it says right at the bottom, when everything started to come to light, he was also asked to step back from ministry in December 2022 while the investigations were ongoing. So while these investigations are ongoing for this parish priest, he was asked to step back from ministry. Just wanted to put that out there. Why does it seem that he was asked to step back, but with allegations the bishop wasn't asked to step back as well? So coming on to our final story. Wow, big story, as I told you. Take a long time to get through. This last one that popped up for the LLF, because the LLF is coming up. Bishop of Leicester remains hopeful despite delay for same-sex blessings. So the LLF process is going to come back to February synod more in July than February, but it's going to be delayed, and we all know it's going to be delayed, and I covered that before. But the Bishop of Leicester, Right Reverend Martin Snow, says the LLF requires serious attention to issues of trust, power, honesty and transparency. In a paper for next month's or this month's General Synod meeting, Bishop Snow emphasised the importance of humility in the process and apologised for those elements of the process which have caused hurt to people across the spectrum of views on LLF. He pledged to be as open as possible with the Synod and expressed hope that we can all agree to renounce our attempts to subvert the process or use power to override agreed emotions of Synod. I wonder if he's speaking about the alliance in that as well. I know they're trying to keep us as one church all together and all happy, and we just agree to disagree. But I think we've gone too far down the line, and I think so many people understand and agree that now people are not in communion with other people over this because of the deeply held views on each side, and that also in one way or another needs to be acknowledged, because that's the reality on the ground. And so renounce to it, subvert the process. Well, to be honest, the process is going on regardless, and we saw that at General Synod last year, and the power to override agreed emotions, again, it's going on, and that could be happening, to be honest. But when you believe that this is wrong, of course you're going to fight, and that's again a reality. So it said at a press conference on Thursday last week, Bishop Snow said that he remained confident that a decision on this would be made before too long. So I wonder if in that he's hinting that there would be a synod in November rather than waiting for the synod in February 2026. And remember, General Synod gets totally re-elected next year as well. So they want to really get this done before a whole new synod and a new makeup of synod goes in. He says, I'm personally disappointed by the further delay. It's not that what I would have wanted, but the process of continually throwing up new theological questions. And of course, because it feels like trying to jump through theological hoops to justify some of these things, especially, as they say, one of the delays is same-sex clergy being able to enter into same-sex civil marriages. So, and just to remind you, I said it before, Bishop Martin Snow says he upholds the doctrine of marriage between one man and a woman, but it's also because he's one of the three leading people to be the new Archbishop of Canterbury, but also to say on the other hand, I'm personally disappointed that it's delayed further because it's the implementation of this. And so it feels like, you're saying believe one thing, but you're going with the other. And I know he's in a difficult place being the lead bishop of this, but remember the Bishop of Newcastle, who fully supports this, stepped down from that position, and I suppose he had the choice to step down as well. But now the Archbishop of Canterbury is gone, but going ahead, so we just make of that what we will as well. He acknowledged the depth of disagreement on this issue, but said that the more we go back into historical sources, the more we go back to reread the Bible, the more we talk about it, the more able we come to clarity. Clarity would not, he said, necessarily bring agreement, but he hoped and prayed that it would allow for a clear decision which holds people within the church. And this is the thing. I don't think it will hold all people in the church. I just don't think it can. And we can't be one big happy family. It's as I said, too far down the line. Some people will see it as a second order issue. A lot of people see it as a first order issue. And if it's a first order issue, then you're not going to win them over to being one happy church family. So the introduction of a former delegated Episcopal ministry, along with its standalone service of blessing, were both approved in outline in July last year, but have yet to become a reality. And it basically goes on. It really comes down to the theology of all this. This is really what's delaying this and understanding the theology of this. And that's the crux of it. The Bible, really. It's not clear. And as I said this before, if it's not clear in the Bible, then the Bible, that says it all. And now they're trying to look at the theology and how can we keep one church with two different theologies, two different doctrines, and we all stay happy. And they're really finding it very difficult. But they said, I think it's in the Faith and Order Commission's paper, recognises the difficulties of finding a solution that is acceptable to all sides, as well as consistent with competing interpretations of what it means to be a united church, but suggests a bearable ecclesiological anomaly may be a price worth paying for attempting to preserve the highest possible degree of communion for as many as possible, for as long as possible. So a bearable ecclesiological anomaly, there's two words I can't say back to back, maybe the price. It's too high a price. It's too high a price for some people to preserve a degree of communion for as many people as long as possible. It just won't work. So we wait to see what General Synod brings us in that sense when it comes up. We also wait to see the Archbishop of York, who is leading the Church of England at the moment, who will do the presidential address. He's got the David Tudor thing hanging over him. He's now got the Bishop of Liverpool thing hanging over him. I wonder how he will be received. And both sides of the debate of the LLF were actually, as I said before, united on this. They're not happy with him at all. And there are people calling him to go, that he should resign. They're saying that, one thing I heard is, I don't know if he said this or someone said this, that if the Archbishop of York resigns, the Church of England will collapse. It won't collapse. We have God. We have God. God will keep the Church of England if he wants to keep the Church of England in the state that we are in at the moment. But we have, if we got names, especially three leading names to step in for the to go for the Archbishop Canterbury's job, we got hundreds of bishops, and they can join together and get us through these next few months without an Archbishop of York and an Archbishop of Canterbury. It can be done. When a church goes into vacancy, it doesn't collapse. People band together and get through. This is just a vacancy at the top. When I came to this parish, this benefice that I have, which has 2 churches, it was a double vacancy. Was it hard work? Yes, but they got through and they made ways to get through. There's a double vacancy at the Archbishop of York and Archbishop of Canterbury. The church will get through. I hope that we got many qualified bishops who could step up to that role. If we haven't, then we're in trouble. We're in big trouble. But I'm sure there are many qualified bishops that can step up into that role for a temporary time and share the work amongst them. But seen an article in the Telegraph by Fergus Butler Garley, which I got to read more fully. Might make a video about that. He's not too confident, but we'll see. Anyway, so there we are. 3 big stories for you, and as always, we pray. We pray for these situations and things. Heavenly Father, we do pray for Calvin Robson. We pray for the Anglican Church, Catholic Church in America. Pray for his parish in Grand Rapids. We pray for this whole situation, Lord, and that your will be done through all of this. And we do pray for this situation with the Bishop of Liverpool and all who are involved, and the 2 people who put their allegations forward. We pray for that situation, Lord, and for the church to take action into investigating what happened and making sure that these things don't happen again, for people to be able to build trust up once again in the Church of England. And we do pray for the LLF process in General Synod. Lord, we do pray, obviously, those who see marriage between one man and one woman, that this process goes no further. But Lord, we do pray for also a reality of where we are, and to understand that there are really deeply held divisions, and we can't be a church happily just sellotaping over the cracks, but to come with a reality of where we are and working from there. But we do pray for those who are stuck up to the different parts of the process, Lord, in what they are doing in their each of their roles. And we pray this in your holy and mighty name. Amen. So, another week, another year. Whoever thought it will start this way, and we will see what the rest of the year brings. But perhaps God's sorting everything out. He's using all these things to bring the church back to what we were once called to do, and we seem to have forgot that. We got caught up with all those other stuff to go. To preach the gospel, to help those in need, to serve and in areas that he's called us to, and just to be Christians in a very broken world. Maybe that's what we are called to do, and that's what we are seeing God bring us back to do. And I'll see you next week. That's a wave, by the way. It's a wave. Bye.